Well, we are back. Another episode of Veterans in Politics. This is Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas. And we have two guests today. The first guest we have is Sarah Crusade, who's a writer for the Las Vegas Tribune and Examiner. Two papers she writes for. Busy person.
Yeah.
And then we have Catherine Duncan, who we don't see yet, but she's a candidate for Las Vegas mayor. But if she's not here, that is not going to
That's
be
not a good thing, Steve.
good. So, Jim, what's going on? How was your week?
Oh, actually, my week wasn't too bad. It was rather boring, actually. A lot of news, though.
Yeah?
That's good.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm a news junkie, so.
News junkie. So I just want to let everybody know that before we go into your rants, everybody know that on Thursday, March 3rd, from 1 to 5 at the Las Vegas City Council chambers, we're going to be interviewing all the Las Vegas candidates, the 3 judicial seats, the 3 ward seats, and the mayor's seat. A lot of people have been RSVPing.
Looking forward to it, too.
And then on Saturday, March 5th, at the Marine Corps League from 12 to 5, we're going to be interviewing the North Las Vegas, Henderson, and Boulder City candidates. So that should be fun as well. Go ahead, Jim, with your answer.
Well, no, I was just going to follow up. If you guys have never attended one of these, please try to attend. It's very, very informative, and you get to really know what these candidates are really all about and the way they answer the questions. And it kind of gives you a sense of their demeanor, what type of leadership style that they're going to have, how they're going to adjust to the new pressures of their new office. So you want to make sure you try to attend that if at all possible. As far as just some, not really a rant, just some stuff in the news today. Remember last week, Steve, I had mentioned Egypt, and was a little concerned about what effects that was going to have on the Middle East as a whole. Well, today they were talking that now in Bahrain, which is significant for veterans in politics because Bahrain is where the 5th Naval Fleet is stationed. So right now the State Department is not stating that there's been any threats to any of our military personnel, but what they are doing is they're saying for Americans that live in Bahrain, they're telling them certain areas not to go in. So we just want to make sure that everybody's stationed in Bahrain. We just want to say, stay safe. They have a very important job down there. The 5th Naval Fleet actually is responsible to make sure that the oil that we ship from Saudi Arabia gets through the Suez Canal and to America. So if that shuts down, you think gas prices are going up now, just wait. So stay safe. They're doing a good job down there, and we just want to have our thoughts and prayers with them. Also in the news that the last 5 days people have been protesting in Madison, Wisconsin, because the Republican governor and a Republican state legislature want to pass a bill that the state worker unions do not like. They say it's cutting back on their collective bargaining rights. And it'll be interesting to talk to Sarah about some of this because we were just having a little bit of a conversation about how basically the governor is stating right now that if they don't let this bill pass, then he's going to have to lay off 6,000 state workers.
Wow, that's a lot of workers.
Yeah, and we're not. They're not talking about any real significant cuts here. It's just enough to balance the budget because they got we have $1 billion shortfall. They have a $3.6 billion shortfall. And it might have an impact here in Nevada because Nevada we are also looking at restructuring some of the collective bargaining rights of our unions. So it seems far away, Wisconsin, but I'll have more on it next week. We'll see how it shakes out. A little disappointed that the 14 Democrats that are elected representatives in the state of Wisconsin, have left the state and went to Illinois so that the bill can't pass because they don't have the quorum they need.
Wow.
Seems a little childish to me, but
you know what they say breed criminals, right?
What's that?
Lack of education and bad economy.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I think a lot of good people is going to turn bad. But in the meantime, let's take a commercial break. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to Sarah Crusade.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Veterans in Politics International. The Veterans in Politics mission is to teach, educate, organize, and awaken our veterans and their families to select, support, and vote intelligently for a better world and to protect ourselves from our own governments and a culture of corruption and to be the political voice for those in other groups that do not have one.
There are too many homeless veterans and more help is needed from the VA. Every veteran service organization post should adopt a local homeless veteran.
The funding of VA medical centers is inadequate, and building a VA hospital in southern Nevada is moving at a slow pace. The budget has been flatlined for too many years. The VA is too quick to deny claims and too slow to help veterans gather records in support of claims.
Local politicians ignore veterans and their issues. They perceive a lack of organization among their local veterans and that it won't hurt them at election time. Veterans too often vote party, not veteran issues. All veterans should vote in every election.
The news media give inadequate coverage to veteran issues and events. You must send letters to the editor and voice this concern.
Please contact your members of Congress and Senate and urge them to co-sponsor key legislation in supporting our veterans.
Please support Veterans in Politics. And to get more information, go to www.veteransinpolitics.com.
What are you doing online?
I'm checking out the belly dance class we took last week.
Where's it at?
TakeBackYourBelly.com.
That's right.
We worked our arms.
We worked our abs.
We worked so hard
and had a blast. No matter what, your shape or size, come belly dance, you'll be surprised.
For class schedule and location, log on to TakeBackYourBelly.com or call 219-3151.
Are you a business owner struggling during these economic times? Please listen up. How would you like to put your business and services in front of every resident and business in the Las Vegas Valley for less than a penny per home? Yes, that's right. I said less than 1 cent per home and business. And how would you like to have a dynamic and exciting online presence with the major search engines? How about an online video for your business and a fully optimized website with absolutely no setup fee? Hi, my name is George. If you are interested in these and other services that can make your phone ring with clients and prospects, then call me at 702-296-8394. Just call George at 702-296-8394. Thank you.
Americans have been fooled by politicians about illegal immigration. They make you think that if you bring up this topic, you are a racist. Did you know that America is the only country on this planet that does not enforce its federal immigration laws? For the fear of being called a racist, I am for legal immigration. I was born on the island of Jamaica, became an American citizen, served 12 years in the U.S. military, served in Desert Storm, and received a Presidential Unit Citation, National Defense Medal, and Marine Corps Commendation. Our immigration laws serve a purpose. I understand that this country was founded on immigration, but there is a wrong way and a right way. I'm here to tell you that illegal immigration is breaking our federal laws. Why don't you call me a racist? This is Steve Sanson.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. And, folks, I just want to let you know I just got off the phone with Catherine Duncan, who's a candidate for mayor. And she was supposed to be here at 1:45. It's now 2:09, and she knows it's a live show, and she's still not here. I understand that people have things that come up, but, you know, a phone call would work, folks. You know, if you're a candidate or elected official, and don't take advantage of people's time. That's bad. At least let people know that you're on your way or something. But that's just bad, huh, Jim?
Yeah, it is.
That's just bad. We have 18 candidates for mayor. I think we have 17 now. What do you think? Yeah.
Oh. We'll see. We'll see if you're as when. We'll see if you act like you normally do when a candidate irritates you.
But that's just bad.
We'll see if you're on your game today, Steve.
At least call somebody. You know, let them know something.
Especially with some of the I mean, there's some top-notch candidates in this field.
I mean, when you're running the pool like that, I mean, you wanna like shine. Right. You don't want to diminish.
No.
Sarah, what you think about that?
Well, I agree. It seems like she was probably one of the first candidates that was going to be coming on as well. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going to be the first candidate, that you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
It's very true.
So, Sarah, you're a writer for the Tribune and the Examiner. What's going on? What are you writing about nowadays?
Well, I'm covering the local legislature and what's going on. I write an op-ed, which is probably my favorite part because I get to speak my mind and, vomit up my ideas. But I've just been writing. Yesterday I wrote my op-ed on what's happening in Wisconsin and comparing it to Nevada. So I'm just writing anything as a Las Vegas Conservative Examiner on Examiner.com. I cover anything having to do with conservative politics in Las Vegas. So if I'm aware of it, I cover it.
Well, before we get into anything, let's let you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am a journalist from way back. I was a photographer and a journalist in the Army, and so it's one of the things that I'm passionate about, especially with regards to politics. I know
your son is in the Army, right?
He is. Yes,
right.
Yes, he is. But my nephew's in the Marines, and my father, rest in peace, is a Marine. So I'm a devil pup, so I get slack for that. You gotta. You can't hold the Army against me. But anyway, so writing is my passion. I was recently a state employee and last in, first out. So I'm no longer employed, but I'm continuing to do what I love, which is my writing, and I have my own radio show on an entirely different internet gig. But I love it.
What do you talk about on your radio show?
On the Freedom Hour, I have a lot of different things.
The Freedom Hour.
It's called you get 1 hour of freedom a week, man. That's
wow.
it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I talk about a lot of different things related
to... that's like a prisoner on lockdown. They have 23 hours they lock down and 1 hour in the yard.
Well, there you go. It's getting like that. It's getting like that. But I recently, this past Wednesday, had the Starbright Foundation on, and their mission is to help recover children who have been abducted for sexual trafficking. And it's one of the number one crimes in this country people aren't aware of. So I've done that. I've had Civil Air Patrol on. I've had Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America. So I just do a wide range of things, some political, some not.
Right. So with the legislature, are you going to Carson City or what?
I would like to plan a trip to Carson City. It's been a real boon finding out that I can watch committee meetings on the computer because now that I am unemployed, I don't have a lot of funds to take off and,
Right.
So, but I am hoping to be able to go in March.
And did you know Southwest Airlines raised their price by $10 now because of fuel costs?
Well, I heard that they were raising it. I didn't hear how much. So, and Allegiant Air sadly doesn't go between here and there. So
how do you feel about that bill that they want to put before the governor? Talking about you can't use your cell phone, no texting, no calling. We're going to be like California and New York.
We're sinking very rapidly into California land. I've not read it, so I can't speak very authoritatively about it, but. From time to time, I try not to text while I'm driving. Sometimes something comes up. Certainly, I think, if we can wear an earbud while we're talking. Right. I don't see that it's much different talking on the phone driving than it is talking to my friend while I'm driving. But I understand that it does pose some increased risk. But I'm not big on,
legislating morality.
Exactly. So yeah, as a matter of fact, a bill came up, and I think it was SB 8 or SB 88, and they're trying to regulate that garages that do car repairs have to check your tire for air pressure.
Right.
Really?
Right.
Like, leave it alone. I should be responsible enough to put air in my own tire, and if I'm not, then darn me, I have to pay more for gas. That's my issue, not you, not Nevada's or anyone else's.
Some of these laws can get really ridiculous. I overheard that in the city of Portland, Oregon, they are trying to ban perfume.
It's smelly.
So, my take on it is, yes, talking on a cell phone, could it be a distraction? Absolutely, but where do we stop like with the tire thing, and then we get into
sure,
ban of perfume.
Why don't we concentrate on the real laws like illegal immigration?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Or here's a really good one that came up. SB 126 they're trying to revise the CCW permit laws here so that you don't have to.
I heard about that.
Because with a revolver, any revolver is a revolver, but with a pistol, a semi-automatic, you have to qualify separately and list separately every single semi-automatic. Well, if you have a car 40 and then a car 9 mil and then a car 45, it's identical except for the size of the bullets and the cost of the ammo, right. But you have to sit there and pay a separate fee for each one. So they're trying to revise that so that a semi-auto is a semi-auto, a revolver's a revolver, and let's call it a day.
Speaking of weapons, if you don't own a CCW and you just have a registered weapon, it's legal to carry a weapon in your vehicle because that's your personal property. But in North Las Vegas,
not in North.
You can't carry one.
Right.
I mean, so how do you know that you're on the border of North? Are you going to stop and mail your weapon home, or not go to North Las Vegas if you live in? I think that we should have a blanket law that's similar in all the cities. That way, people won't get confused and arrested needlessly.
Well, we have a really good constitutional amendment with regards to the right to keep and bear arms. And although I understand every state or county or city rather has the opportunity to make a law, but I don't think that any law should be stricter than the Constitution.
Right.
You can go with or better than, but I don't think that you should be able to take rights away that are guaranteed in the Constitution, and that's basically what North Las Vegas is doing. And I believe the National Rifle Association is actually in a lawsuit with the city of North Las Vegas about that. But I don't know much more about that than that.
I think that should be one of the questions that come up in these endorsement interviews for North Las Vegas about that.
Yeah,
about the weapons, because I've been trying to get them to change it for a long time. And I had Mayor Hafen here, Henderson mayor, and we were talking to him about the wards. When you run in for a ward race, it's not like Las Vegas and North Las Vegas. You run in the whole city for a ward race. I asked him if he was willing to change his charter, and I don't think he wants to.
Well, it's the same thing with the blue cards here in Las Vegas. No other county or city in the state of Nevada requires blue cards.
Right.
So in the requirement to register your gun, we are already stricter than the freedom the Constitution allows. And to me, being of Jewish descent, and I've been to Dachau concentration camp. I was a visitor, not a resident, but I'm not that old.
I wouldn't think you'd be a resident.
but anytime I have to walk in there and register a gun, I feel like I'm being raped. I really do. I feel, because I know the history. I've been there. I've seen and experienced from a historical perspective what the results are of that kind of gun control, and that's what it is to me. That's what it smacks of, and so I get hackles on the back of my neck every time I have to register a firearm.
Anytime I get into an argument with somebody on the Second Amendment, it floors me that they don't understand why the founders put that in. I try to explain to them, do you understand why the founders put this in? To the Constitution? It's so you can protect yourself against an overbearing government. It's the only way we can protect ourselves from a government. I tell them, the Brits would come in and say, hey, you know what, we're staying here tonight. They would just take stuff over, so they put that in specifically for that reason. And so now I don't go as far on my Second Amendment stance as some people. Some people say if the military can have it, then everybody should be able to have it. I think there should be the fully automatics. Maybe we could look at that a little bit.
It's glad that they have something, but they don't have. The military don't even have rights.
Right. Well, and that's just it.
They're guilty until proven innocent type of deal.
Sure. Look at I can't remember the name of this captain who's in Leavenworth for actually protecting his men who were under fire, and they arrested him even though they couldn't find the 4 bodies of the people that he supposedly killed. There was no evidence other than word of mouth.
Right.
But he lost his commission. He was close to retirement, and he's spending the rest of his life in Leavenworth.
And there's double jeopardy in the military.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the military fight for Americans to have democracy and the Constitution, and them themselves don't even have it.
Absolutely.
That's sad.
Well, and take it one step further, when you have someone such as my son who's under 21, who's serving. He's been trained on an M16. He's, volunteered to go over there. He may be a machine gunner, so he's going to be using 50 cal. But here, he has absolutely no right to protect and defend himself because he's under 21, even though he's been trained by our government to go out and annihilate the enemy. Not that we would want him annihilating people here, but I mean, he should have. He's trained. He's obviously shown himself to be responsible, and 21 is just such a random number. I know lots of 30-year-olds who aren't responsible. What difference does 21 make?
Yeah. I think that if you join the military, you should be able to drink. No matter what age you are.
Well,
no, seriously.
I would imagine a lot of soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines agree with you.
Yeah, the average age in Vietnam was 19 years old.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could die for your country, but you can't drink in it.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. How's that?
Well, and I think that the average age is still about 19.
Yeah.
And my son enlisted at 17 years old.
Yeah, my brother was in the Air Force, and when I would talk to him, he would just, some of the conversations we would get into, he would go, I'm 19 years old, and I'm signing off on a $2.5 billion bomber, whether it can take off or not, because he was a white man in Missouri. And he said it was just amazing at how the level of, because the training in the military is so good, he said that at 19 years old, they trust me to sign off on this bomber.
Right, but not to have a drink.
Nope,
can't drink. That's bad. Well, let's take another commercial break and come back to Sarah Crusade. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right.
I know. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics, and we'll be back momentarily with Sarah Crusade, writer for the Las Vegas Tribune and Examiner.
Veterans in Politics takes a proactive approach to provide you, the veteran, with the political voice for which you fought and served.
Veterans in Politics is becoming the premier veteran organization of the 21st century, with political candidate interviews, insight, and endorsements.
Public speaking engagements in support of American values.
Radio shows to keep you updated on the latest in veteran and military support operations.
Providing job placement and business support.
Go to veteransinpolitics.com today and do your part in defending liberty.
What are you doing online? I'm checking out the belly dance class we took last week.
Where's it at?
TakeBackYourBelly.com.
That's right.
We worked our arms.
We worked our abs.
We worked so hard
and had a blast. No matter what your shape or size, come belly dance, you'll be surprised.
For class schedule and location, log on to TakeBackYourBelly.com or call 219-3151.
This is Jim Jonas asking you to listen to Veterans in Politics. Veterans in Politics is a weekly broadcast internet talk show hosted by myself, Jim Jonas, and Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics Incorporated, that airs every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at www.vegasallnetradio.com. Veterans in Politics' sole purpose is to teach, educate, and inform veterans on issues and the candidates that will affect them. Too many politicians say they support veterans and their issues, but their actions tell a different story. Here at Veterans in Politics, we will expose these politicians by giving them a chance to come in and explain their actions to veterans so veterans can truly make informed decisions. Listen every Saturday to stay informed and to hold politicians accountable for their votes.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics, and Catherine Duncan did come into the studio, so we'll be interviewing her a little bit later. But we still have Sarah Crusade in front of a microphone. Sarah, you worked on Michelle Fiore's campaign last year, correct?
Yes, I did.
And are you still working with her?
No, actually, February 1st was my last day. I was her communications director while she was in the campaign. And then once the primary was over, I just became communications director for the office of Michelle Fiore. But it became very difficult to balance all the different things that I was doing that I wasn't getting paid for. So I decided to let some things go.
I just love blunt.
I know.
So I let some things go, and when one door closes, another opens, and as soon as I let go of working for Michelle, I was elected the second vice president in charge of media for Blue Star Mothers of Southern Nevada.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
and I'm already on the board, kind of, for Oath Keepers. So,
Stuart Rhodes.
Right. So I'm busy. I'm doing nonpartisan
I
stuff.
thought you're still working
and
with
very
Michelle with the Tribune or something like that.
No, Michelle stopped working for the Tribune back in November.
See, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, let's talk about the municipal elections. What do you think is going to happen in this mayor's race for Las Vegas? Because I know Boulder has a race as well, and Mesquite has a mayor's race. Las Vegas, so I have to be specific.
Well, with 18 mayoral candidates, it reminds me kind of the CD1 race with like 9 or 10 people. Yeah. It's going to be kind of a Charlie Foxtrot for a while. It's going to be hard to find out who the strongest people are. I know the administrators of the Tribune are favoring Chris G. I know a lot of conservatives who are favoring George Harris.
Right.
I know some who like Victor. So
Chantel, I believe.
Right. Yeah. And then the only candidate that I've
sorry to cut you off. Speaking of Victor Chantel, I looked at his campaign contributions, and he's given a lot of money to the Republican Party, and he's given some money to Democrat candidates as well. I've noticed. Have you seen that?
I have his packet. I've not yet had a chance to look through it. Okay. The first mayoral candidate I've actually spoken with is Councilman Steve Ross.
Right.
He's actually my councilman. I'm in Ward 6.
Me too.
And,
did you give me a lift home?
Absolutely.
Right.
Didn't you? How'd you get here, man? So I actually contacted him. A friend of my mom's is a conservative Democrat. She's like, "Oh, you're going to love him. You've got to talk with him."
Your mother's a what? A conservative Democrat?
No, my mom's a Republican. She has a friend who's a conservative Democrat who said you're going to love him.
Is there such a thing, a conservative Democrat?
I think there still are a couple.
Oh, okay. Shouldn't they just be Republican and just forget about the Democrat stuff?
Well, you'd say that, but I see so many Republicans that don't live up to the Constitution, so I don't know, Yeah,
I had Larry Brown sitting there, and he said he was a conservative Democrat, didn't he?
Yeah. He said that when I brought up something. I was talking about Jeffersonian democracy and how people get caught up when Egypt saying, okay, now it's going to be a democracy, but what type of democracy?
There's a lot of conservative Democrats floating around. Why don't you just become Republicans and just move on?
Right. Well, I actually had a conversation with the publisher of the Veterans Reporter recently, Chuck Baker. And he asked me about my political affiliation, and I said, well, I consider myself a conservative. And he said, well, how can you just be a straight across-the-board conservative? And I said, well, I'm a constitutional conservative. And we kind of talked a little bit about how can someone have one stance. And I said, no, I'm more like a classical liberal. I don't want to label myself, well, I'm socially progressive or I'm liberal.
How about a moderate Republican?
You know what? I follow the Constitution. I believe in small government. So that means I don't want you dealing with me, period.
Right.
Leave me alone. I don't want you putting air in my tires. I don't want you talking about my guns.
Don't touch my tires and my guns.
You know what? I don't smoke either, and although I appreciate the fact that there are non-smoking restaurants, I wouldn't legislate that. It's not my right to take your right to smoke away.
Right.
I have the right to choose not to go to your restaurant.
Just don't blow in my face.
Right. So when I say that I'm a constitutional conservative, I really am. Just butt your government out of my business. Period.
Right.
You have a minimal amount of things that Congress is supposed to do those things, and then shut up already.
Right.
So just to get back to the Wisconsin thing we were discussing a little bit. Now you cover the Nevada legislature. So do you think that because we are one of the states that Fox News pointed out is having this debate as well, whether we should cut back on some of the benefits for the state workers? Do you think that honestly any bill as what they want to call drastic would pass here in Nevada with the fact that we have a Democrat majority?
I don't know. Having been a state employee, of course, most of the people I work with are Democrats,
right.
And there's, even for more conservative people, there's still that sense of entitlement.
Right.
And, I was let go, so I was part of the budget cut.
Right.
I lost my job. But I don't know. There are things that going on in Wisconsin, it's not that drastic. I mean, what they want to do is they want to have the public employees raise their contribution to their pension from 3% to 5.8%. Well, geez, shut up. The taxpayers are still paying 94% of your pension. No one's paying 94% of private sector pensions. Okay. No. So
yeah, and most insurance companies, health insurance companies, I pay 20% of my health care costs. That's my copay is 20%. So paying a little bit more for a copay, I think is going a little too far. And then the thing that really
at least you have health insurance. There's some people out there can't even afford the
purchase. Yeah, I mean, I don't have it now. I lost mine January 31st.
And what's this pre-existent thing? I mean, if you find out you have something wrong with you and you can't even go get health insurance to get stuff covered.
Well, that's true, but I learned something interesting in an argument with someone recently about the pre-existing condition thing. If we were allowed to go get insurance under pre-existing conditions, I can absolutely have no insurance up until the point I have a heart attack. While I'm in the hospital, call up an insurance agent. I have a pre-existing condition. I want insurance coverage. Now they have to cover me, and now my entire thing is covered. Is that really, so I have no responsibility for taking care of myself. I can just wait to the last minute. I've not paid in anything to contribute to this company, but now they are expected to pay for me. So
I think there should be limits somewhere, though.
Sure.
A heart attack, maybe not, but some other stuff that you really is out of your control,
Right.
I don't know. You have anything else to share with us, Sarah?
No, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and if I ever do choose to be a candidate, I hope you'll have me on again.
Oh,
are you going to be at our forum?
Yes, I have it in my calendar. I intend to be there to cover that. And
very cool.
You bet.
You have anything more for Sarah and Jim?
No, other than it was a pleasure talking to you, a pleasure meeting you.
Well, it was great meeting you too. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
That's Sarah Crusade, a former soldier. Got to bring that in there. And a writer for the Las Vegas Tribune and Examiner. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas. But don't go away, folks. We're going to be interviewing Catherine Duncan, who's a candidate for Las Vegas mayor.
While growing up, I've always asked my family, who is my father? I was told the name of a man. When I became older, I looked for this man and found him. He thought that I was his son as well, but after a DNA test, it was discovered that my family was lying to me all my life. I pressured my family to give me the real identity of my father. I then became suspicious and took my grandfather's DNA. After I buried my grandfather, 2 days later I discovered that my grandfather was in fact my biological father. I questioned myself and asked, what is my purpose on this earth? I should have never been conceived. But when I look at my 4 children, I knew that everything happens for a reason. This is Steve Sanson. Find your identity.
Are you a business owner struggling during these economic times? Please listen up. How would you like to put your business and services in front of every resident and business in the Las Vegas Valley for less than a penny per home? Yes, that's right. I said less than 1 cent per home and business. And how would you like to have a dynamic and exciting online presence with the major search engines? How about an online video for your business and a fully optimized website with absolutely no setup fee? Hi, my name is George. If you are interested in these and other services that can make your phone ring with clients and prospects, then call me at 702-296-8394. Just call George at 702-296-8394. Thank you.
Veterans in Politics takes a proactive approach to provide you, the veteran, with the political voice for which you fought and served.
Veterans in Politics is becoming the premier veteran organization of the 21st century, with political candidate interviews, insight, and endorsements.
Public speaking engagements in support of American values.
Radio shows to keep you updated on the latest in veteran and military support operations.
Providing job placement and business support.
Go to veteransinpolitics.com today and do your part in defending liberty.
This is Jim Jonas asking you to listen to Veterans in Politics. Veterans in Politics is a weekly broadcast internet talk show hosted by myself, Jim Jonas, and Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics Incorporated. That airs every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at www.vegasallnetradio.com. Veterans in Politics' sole purpose is to teach, educate, and inform veterans on issues and the candidates that will affect them. Too many politicians say they support veterans and their issues, but their actions tell a different story. Here at Veterans in Politics, we will expose these politicians by giving them a chance to come in and explain their actions to veterans so veterans can truly make informed decisions. Listen every Saturday to stay informed and to hold politicians accountable for their votes.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. And we have Catherine Duncan, candidate for Las Vegas mayor. Catherine, how you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me here today.
You know, we ran on you a little bit for not calling us and let us know you're on your way and being late. And
do you know they had this tremendous forum for everyone who's
you're running for mayor.
vying for the mayor's race?
You're running for mayor.
And, you know, we were all up on stage, and I couldn't get away.
Yeah, but when you got down, you could have called somebody.
I got in the car and I started driving so fast, and I didn't want to use my cell phone.
And you got your
assistant
there?
And she kept beckoning me, come down off the stage right now. Come down off the stage because we're going to be late and they're going to be mad at us. And they're mad at us.
Yeah, we were very mad.
Well, I'm glad you were able to still accommodate because we need to get a message out to the people.
Tell us about yourself.
About me? Oh, gosh. I've been in Las Vegas 33 years. I came here on 7/7/77.
How come I never seen you before, Catherine? We're in the political circle, huh, Jim? Yeah. Have you seen Catherine Duncan?
No.
See?
Wow. Well, you know, I'm not a glamour girl. I'm a working girl in Vegas.
What kind of working girl are you?
And so, for all the time that I've been in Las Vegas, I have been working. I've done everything from security at the Nevada test site, so I am trained. Be careful.
You know hand-to-hand?
Weapons trained. Weapons.
Okay.
M16, 12 gauge, you know.
Wow.
And 357. So you better watch out.
So you must be a Republican then.
I have been Republican since I was age 18. I'm not going to lie to you.
Really?
I voted Republican. I've always been an advocate for business and making money.
You like to make money?
I like to love making money. And I voted Democrat in this last 2008 election because of our president's stance on war and freeing ourselves from non-renewable foreign fuel. So right now, I'm leaning more toward the Green Party, and I'm so glad that the mayor's race is nonpartisan. That way I can reach across all the party lines to bring the city back to prosperity.
You know, I had somebody, I can't tell you who. I had a conversation with a person. I won't even tell you the sex of the person. And they said Catherine Duncan is a sharp individual, very sharp, but this is not her race to win. What do you got to say?
Well, I got into this race by public demand. It was not my idea. The public is demanding a fresh voice in politics.
Who's demanding that?
The people of Las Vegas, the people who are advocating for, people know what to do. And our government needs to be people-driven.
Right.
People have the answers. They know what Las Vegas needs to do to get its people back to work, to diversify our economy, and to bring forth economic growth. We just need our politicians to listen to the people and do what the public demands.
So what's Catherine Duncan going to do if she was elected mayor as far as bringing jobs to the city of Las Vegas?
Well, first of all, there have been a lot of jobs brought to Las Vegas using Las Vegas tax dollars, but our city council has been breaking the law. We've not hired people from Las Vegas to do those jobs. That's number one. So these developers that are using Las Vegas tax dollars.
Say that one more time,
okay,
Catherine.
These developers who are using Las Vegas tax dollars to build these huge, tremendous developments downtown have not been hiring people from Las Vegas.
Why is that?
Because they have not. Because we've been breaking the law. The law says they need to, but our city council and our mayor has not been enforcing our laws.
Shouldn't they enforce that? Should they enforce to hire people that actually live in this community?
They're supposed
voters
to,
actually?
They're supposed to hire people from Las Vegas, and guess what? Veterans first. So veterans should be screaming at the city council saying, why are you giving our tax dollars to these developers and they're hiring people from all over the United States and not veterans who live in Las Vegas?
That's the first time I've heard of that, Steve.
Why do you think they're doing that, Catherine?
Because they can.
And how are you going to do to rectify the problem?
Well, actually, we still cut that check every year to these developers. We need to hold back those checks until they start following the law. And those developers who've taken our tax dollars and not performed need to pay the money back.
Well, why are we cutting checks to developers?
It's called tax increment financing. And it's a very lucrative tool that we use to stimulate economic development in distressed areas. It's a wonderful tool. And with it, we've built things like the Luruvo Brain Center, the World Market Center, the Main Street Station took advantage of redevelopment money. There's a lot of development that's going on.
In the World Market.
The World Market. All of this has been with redevelopment dollars, but we've not been hiring people from Las Vegas to do the jobs, and that's one of my pet peeves. And so we need to make sure these developers follow the law. First, we need to tell the developers that there is a law, which is where we fail.
Okay.
We have not told them that there is a law that says they need to do that. And I believe these developers would perform if they knew that they needed to. You're sitting there all shocked.
I'm like, no, it's
we've been interviewing mayor candidates and nobody ever brought that up to our attention.
No one's ever brought that.
Well, because I've been bringing this to our city's attention for the last 3-4 years, and they've just when I went to City Hall to ask why we were not following the law, they couldn't even find the law.
Well, you know what? That brings me to a good point. It's like when I was in D.C., I was in Senator Enson's office, and we were talking about the hospital being so slow, the VA hospital. Why is it privatized? Companies take a year and a half to build a hospital with $70 to $100 million, and the VA or government is taking 5-6 years to build a hospital with no OBGYN and on donated land. And $600 million is costing. He said, well, that's how government works.
And government doesn't have to work like that.
So I said, if that's how government works and you're willing to be part of this corrupt problem, maybe we should just get somebody else.
We need to.
Exactly. I hit it like that too much.
Well, and the redevelopment agency is just one of the areas where we can make changes immediately. If developers, well, let's get off developers for just a moment, because we enjoy developers coming in and doing business in our city. But here's some kind of development that we have been reaching out to. According to the state's energy office, we lost $6 billion in revenue because of antiquated municipal and state codes that won't allow new industry into Nevada. When you drive from California, notice the windmills all over the California mountains.
Right.
Why do they stop at the Nevada state line? Doesn't the wind blow in Nevada?
Yeah, I think it blows a little bit more here.
It blows a little more here. So why are we not taking advantage of our own renewable resources, wind, solar, geothermal?
Maybe the oil companies have a monopoly on that.
It could be we just haven't opened our arms and welcome in these type of industries. Right. Here's an area that the city could take advantage of right away, waste. Okay, we've got the trash can that we put out on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Mondays and Fridays whenever your pickup day is. Do you know how much demand there is for the stuff that we're throwing in the trash? In Boston, we took our bottles and cans back to the store.
Right.
And we got our money back for them. There's a huge demand for recyclable items, repurposed, reusable aluminum.
But we do recycle here in Clark County.
15% of our recoverables. The other 85% is just being thrown away. So we need to do a better job with our recycling. And even the 15% that we are recycling, we're shipping off to other states to remanufacture. We don't have a remanufacturing facility
How do you
here.
propose we do that?
We just let people know there's we reach out to remanufacturing facilities. They are in other states. Or we encourage local recyclers to build a remanufacturing facility.
I see.
We have to give them incentives.
You know, I was asking a candidate that there's no blind institute here in the state of Nevada. Do you think that'd be something like that maybe we could put in the city of Las Vegas?
I believe we've
to
been
read Braille and stuff like that.
Not only blind centers, but medical. Period. Mm-hmm. We have relied totally on Clark County to deliver us medical services. I believe that it's a job of not only the government, but the churches to come together to build medical facilities. I believe one of the best developers we can mirror is the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic is one of the best facilities in America. And you know who runs the Mayo Clinic? Who finances them? St. Francis Hospital, St. Francis Church. So church and medical need to marry because the church community has, we have feelings for people who cannot take care of themselves.
Right.
And so if the church community were allowed to partner with medical, we'd have a better resource there.
And homeless is a big issue in the city of Las Vegas, and apparently that problem has been neglected for some time.
Homeless veterans,
especially the veterans.
There's between 4,000 to 10,000 homeless veterans on the streets of Las Vegas on any given day.
How do you plan to deal with that issue?
It's all through mental health.
True.
Mental health has to be the number one key. We cannot send our...
But don't they have to volunteer for mental health?
No. You can't ask people who can't think for themselves what to do for themselves.
True.
Right.
Okay. You have to intervene when there's a mental health crisis. But I thought they had to have caused
some kind of ruckus or something to actually be forced into a mental health facility. If they haven't caused anything, how could you put them in one if they're over the age of 18?
Now, there's some hobos on the street. Okay. Now, let's be real. There are some hobos, and so that's not our situation. We're talking about the veteran who's returned home from service,
right,
and he's suffering from some challenges,
right,
and he would do better if he could.
Right.
So these are the people we need to reach through mental health.
Okay.
And it can't just be putting a roof over somebody's head and say, bow,
right,
here's your house, you're done. It has to come with the services that go along with mental health care.
Okay. Did you hear that I got this email from Congresswoman Berkeley that's talking about closure of the Red Rock Recreational Center. Did you hear anything about that?
No, I have not.
Okay. How would you stop stuff like this from going on? What would you do? I mean, if you got a memorandum saying that there's a proposal to close Red Rock Recreational Center because of lack of federal funding for the services of roads and stuff like that, what would you do as mayor to kind of make sure that this doesn't happen?
I take it to the community. I believe the citizens of Las Vegas know what to do and they have answers. We want our elected officials to be like paternal. And that's not how our government is designed. If there's a situation and a problem, you go to the people who voted you into office, you ask them, how would you like for me to represent this issue? Is it important to you as a people to put resources into this? People need to be deciding their own fate.
Okay. How would you use your media out there? The city has Channel 2, and you have a website out there, which is the City of Las Vegas website. How would you use that to kind of reach out to your constituents?
Number one, I don't believe that the citizens have been informed enough. Sometimes I think.
Give me an example.
For example, planning commission meetings. Are they televised?
Yes.
Historic Preservation Commission meetings.
The Planning Commission meetings are televised.
How about Historic Preservation Arts Commission? All of these public meetings that are being held all over the city that affect your tax dollars need to be televised. And when we say did we get proper notice for this meeting? Yeah, they hung it on 8 library bulletin boards.
You know what? I watch Channel 2 and Channel 4 a lot because Steve knows I'm just...
he's bored. That's the only 2 channels he gets.
Yeah. 2, 4, and then, of course, I always have Fox News
18 when it comes on every once in a while.
So the one thing that I would like is because I do watch these meetings and I have been involved, I do understand the process. But one of the things I would like to see on Channel 2 and Channel 4 is maybe a voiceover. So the people watching it would understand, okay, this proceeding is taking place, like some type of narration.
And what happens is, you say you don't recognize me, but if you watch Channel 2 as
Probably,
much as you say you do, then you would see me at so many different city council meetings.
I think I've seen you, and I've seen and Stanley Washington. I always see him
because I'm there whenever I see some issues that just don't fly.
Right.
And as president of the Chamber of Commerce, I've gone there with businesses that feel like they need a second voice at City Hall because they're not getting a fair shake. Distressed businesses that need support. I've gone in front of the City Council and advocated for these types of businesses over and over again.
Good. Sorry, Jim. you know what I've seen that what comes before the City Council a lot is business license and massage license and stuff like that. And I've seen them. They talk about people that are felons, and they're changing their ways around, and whatever the story might be, and they want to give them a business license or or a massage license or stuff like that. How would you deal? How would you deal with felons or ex-felons?
Well, I think once a person who has been convicted, they've gone, they served their time, and they've paid their restitutions, they should be given their full rights again. I mean, you've done the crime, you've done your time, you should be okay to get back into business, because if you're not, we're going to have to support that person anyway. So I believe in a person paying his way. So if a person has an opportunity to get into business or get a job, I say, that's wonderful. We should allow them to do that. Okay. But as far as the massage parlors and the liquor license, wouldn't it be great if we brought in some other kind of businesses into Las Vegas? We have spent so much time with Sin City and promoting all of the, what happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. However, there's another tourist that would come to Las Vegas if they're invited. This would immediately fill up our hotel rooms. Do you know that we've never invited Pope Benedict to Las Vegas?
Right.
Okay, so he has a huge following.
Yeah.
So,
very huge.
Okay, so we need to, and we have an area of town that I'm very fond of, the historic West Side, that has more churches per capita than anywhere in America. All we would have to do is give this one little area of town a facelift, and we would have a mecca for tourism right here in Las Vegas.
I'm glad you bring
religious tourism.
I'm glad you bring that up, because I remember when I moved here in '86, and I was in 4th grade at the time, and my 4th grade teacher
He's
said,
a baby.
At that time.
Oh, you're a baby, Jim. 86. So that's 2 years in the Corps I was. Oh, well, I might give away my age.
So at that time, my 4th grade teacher said that we had more churches per capita. I don't know if for anywhere besides West Las Vegas that's true.
But we've got beautiful churches. We got the Mormon Temple out on the hill. I mean, there's if tourists knew that we have these wonderful facilities here, they would come and enjoy them.
Now you bring up an interesting point, but I want to come back to. Didn't Las Vegas try that at one point, where the casinos wanted to be more family friendly, to where they started having playrooms for the kids, and offering babysitting services, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they decided they wanted to get away from that and go back to the more adult theme?
That was when they were at the height of prosperity.
Right. Because you know how, like, even the show at the Treasure Island, they changed that from the pirate show that I used to like to watch, and then now it's some adult themed thing. So,
but you'll also know that those facilities that do still cater to families are the most successful. Look at Circus.
Right.
I got to ask this question, Catherine. I know you have to go in front of the legislator and pass if you want to get a state lottery. But is there a way that you could have a lottery within a city? I'm
thinking we need a lottery right away. I'm hoping there's a way that we could just have coin our own money just to have a Las Vegas lottery. That was to go to support the schools.
Right.
It could just handle so much.
Is that possible?
I don't know. I really don't know how the state would look at that, but I would certainly advocate for a lottery.
Well, I know that. I mean, I don't know if the law's been changed, but when it's actually in the Nevada Constitution that we can't have a state lottery, but I don't know if it says that it's a municipality can have a lottery.
Well, it's certainly one of the items that I would be looking into, because I think it's a phenomenal opportunity.
One of the jobs as mayor is to fill a vacant seat for a judge, for the municipal judgeship. How would you look at it, an individual that's applying for an appointment to a municipality, as far as if a judgeship is vacant in the city of Las Vegas? Well, what do you look at? What do you look for in a particular person?
Their knowledge of the law. It's so important that our judges know what the laws are and apply them equally, regardless of race, religion, leaving their own personal preferences out of it. If they could just follow the law, then a person going in front of that judge would know what to expect.
Okay. Right. You haven't RSVP'd for our endorsement interview on March 3rd yet.
I have not.
No.
You know, there's some things happening on March the 3rd, and I don't like to RSVP unless I'm 100% sure that I can do something, because I hate to let people down.
You probably want to RSVP to this one.
I probably do.
Yeah, you
Is that the
do.
one that's happening at a restaurant?
No, this is the one that's happening at the city council.
Okay, that's the one I plan to be at. The one that's happening at City Council Chambers. I was just telling Nancy about that today, and Nancy's here with me. I want to thank her for keeping up with me. But there's also an event that the Democratic caucus is having at a restaurant, and I didn't RSVP to that one because I wanted to make sure I went to the one at City Hall. So this is my formal RSVP right now.
You know what I want to see, because it's first come, first serve, and everybody's going to sit where the city council members sit as far as the candidates are concerned, and we're going to sit below and do the interview from below, because we have to showcase the candidates to the public. But I want to see who actually sits in the mayor's seat.
Well, who's going to get a chance? I mean, is it first come, first serve?
First come, first serve.
And what time do you start?
At the city, the mayor's interview is at 4:15.
So as soon as he gets up.
No, the mayor's we're going to be interviewing the candidates for mayor at 4:15.
Right, but when does the last person get up out of that seat before the forum starts?
Probably we're going to start having everybody start coming up around 4:10, around there.
Okay, I'll just go and put my name on the chair. Put my name on the chair. Say reserved for Catherine Duncan.
Oh, you can't do that. So, Catherine, thank you for coming.
Oh, I so enjoy this. You know, and getting veterans to work is my number one priority as mayor.
Okay, and could you give the listeners your contact information?
Certainly. My website is up. It's Catherine Duncan, www.catherineduncan.com, KATHERINEDUNCAN, CatherineDuncan.com.
And this is Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas of Veterans in Politics. And I want everybody to know next week we're going to have Heidi Amasi, who's a candidate for municipal court judge of Las Vegas, and Councilwoman Deborah Marsh from the Henderson City Council is also up for re-election. So we're going to have those two folks next week. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas of Veterans in Politics.
There ain't no doubt.